everyone, it's Diane here at the Zula V. Wiley Public Library, and we're doing our third embroidery workshop of our series today. So if you guys haven't watched any of our other embroidery workshops, you'll definitely want to check out the first one. That's where we covered the basic stitches in embroidery. So you'll want to learn that part because that's kind of just like for beginners, and this is kind of a bit more of an advanced step. So today we're going to be learning all about how to make an embroidery patch, or basically how to turn your embroidery piece into a patch. So I really love patches and those like little enamel pins, and I love collecting them. So this has been something that's been really fun for me to learn, just how I can easily turn something that I've already embroidered into a fun and unique patch. So the first thing that you're going to need here is basically what you need to make an embroidery piece at all. So you'll need your fabric hoop, your embroidery hoop, some fabric, your embroidery needle, some thread, some scissors, and then of course the pattern that you're going to be making. So I have an embroidery piece that I finished. It's inspired by my little corgi dog. Her name is Waffles, and this one I think turned out almost as cute as she is, so that was good. So I'm going to be turning this into a really cute patch that hopefully I can put on my backpack. So once you're done with your piece, the first step that you're going to do is actually take it out of the embroidery hoop. So we'll do that by loosening this screw up here at the top. And then we'll take your fabric out by taking these hoops apart from each other, because remember there's that outer hoop here and then that inner hoop inside here. And if you've been working on your piece for a while, it's gonna have this like wonky shape from the hoop, but it's all right because most likely the patch that you want isn't gonna be like around these types, like the edges won't really make a difference. But if it really bothers you, you can always iron this part down. So the next thing that I'm going to do with my embroidery piece is actually add my iron-on adhesive. So the kind that I'm using is Heat and Bond Ultra Hold. You can find this at the craft store if you guys picked up our embroidery kits, which we still have a few of, so definitely pick those up if you need them. That iron-on patch will already actually be included, but if you don't have one, you can always pick this up from the craft store. So these are really neat because it allows you to, attach any kind of fabric to another piece of fabric. And you're going to want to read like what it says as far as like what you're trying to attach this to. So this one's really good for fabric and denim and things like that, which should work for what I need it for. All right, and so once I take that out of the bag, it look like this. For you guys that have the kit, those were already kind of like small little squares for you, pre-cut and everything. So you guys are pretty much good to go. So I'm going to basically take this iron-on adhesive, and I'm going to use my scissors here to cut a portion of this that kind of fits the size of the fabric that I'm using. So you're going to want to make this actually bigger than the patch that you're working on because you want to be able to trim that down later. All right, so I'm going to just cut off a square over here. All right, so I've got my little square here, and then I have my my embroidery piece here. So when you're wanting to attach these two together, you're going to want to use an iron. Great. So I have my embroidery piece here. So what I'm going to do first is turn this around so I can attach my iron-on adhesive. And then make sure before you do anything with this that the back side of your embroidery piece is nice and knotted up and there's not any like loose threads hanging around anywhere. So you will want to like kind of trim that up so that it's not going to be like, really messy looking. So then you're going to take your iron-on adhesive. So with your iron-on adhesive piece, there's going to be like the adhesive side, not adhesive, but the iron side, and then this side that has like a paper liner to it. So you're going to take this and put the side that has a paper liner facing up. So kind of over your piece here. And I kind of trimmed down my piece of fabric in the iron-on piece so it's a little bit closer to what I needed. All right, so now that I have all of this set, what I'm gonna do now is actually use my iron and iron down those little, like basically this entire little square. So you're gonna wanna make sure this is like your iron's on a very low setting, and you're not gonna like really hold this on top like for too long. So like be really quick about it. So I'm gonna just kind of work my way here, kind of do that here, and you're gonna kind of want to hold some sides before you iron all of those pieces there, just to make sure that, you know, as you are getting this to kind of adhere together, that there's not going to be like wrinkles or stuff like that. All right, so I think this is pretty good now. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this around and just kind of double check to make sure that it looks like pretty good as far as what I need to do. Yep, it looks like it's stuck pretty well. Okay, step with this is going to be actually trimming down our fabric so it's closer to the actual patch that we want to make. So I'm going to take this whole thing and grab my scissors, and I'm going to be cutting around. So you want to leave like a good amount of space kind of between where you're cutting and that embroidery that you made, just so that you're not accidentally cutting some of the threads off and then making your piece kind of like get all like destructed basically. But so I'm gonna kind of leave maybe like a 1/2 inch kind of around here, so you can kind of see what I'm doing here as I cut around. And you can trim this up after you're done if you're like me and you're not cutting really nicely. Because like in this one, it does not look like a circle anymore. Okay, all right, so got that here. I'm just trim some of these pieces off at the ends because it looks kind of wonky, so that it's more in the shape that I want this to be. All right, so this part here does not really take that much time. And it also probably depends on how much of a perfectionist you are, because I'm kind of like that kind of person that's going to be like, oh, this looks weird. All right, so I kind of got it to where I want it to be. So now the next step here is going to actually be taking off that paper liner on the back, and then you can make some decisions about what you want to do next, like if you like how it looks as is, or if you want to do some last steps. All right, so when you do this here, you're going to basically take that paper liner, you're going to pull it off, and then what you should see is this kind of like shiny surface where that iron-on adhesive is stuck in between, or not in between, but like on top of your fabric. So you can see kind of how that looks. So at this point, you can kind of make a decision like based on what you've done. If you like how this looks as is, you can kind of just leave it alone, and then you can, you know, attach it to whatever you're already planning on doing. So like, for example, if I was going to do this on a backpack, I can then, you know, put my backpack down, put my patch on top, and then take maybe like a piece of fabric on the top just to kind of protect the threads, and then iron that down, and then my patch will be attached to that backpack like I wanted. If you don't want to do that and you kind of think this doesn't look as good, what you can do at that point is use your needle and get some embroidery floss and thread that through, and then you can kind of make some stitches around to kind of make that look a little bit neater. So you can see here, this is one that I already made. This is like my subtle way to kind of remind you guys that if you haven't had a library card yet, maybe you should sign up for one, because September is library sign up month. If this is good with you, you can just keep it like this. I'll probably go back and make some edges on this one because I don't think it looks as clean, which is what I'm going to do with this one. So you can just take your needle, you're going to pull this through into your the back of this whole thing, and bring your needle in, and you'll kind of do this just kind of on the edge of where you want this to be. Okay, so now I have the tail that I'm going to kind of keep with me so that I can knot that later. And then I'm going to kind of go do another stitch right next to where I did my first one. And you'll see now that when I'm doing this, I'm getting this kind of like edge, like a curved thread around the edge of my embroidery. So as I continue doing it, I'll have this like black border around this, which will make it look nice and clean. So I'll just keep doing this around the edge here. And if you see that, like, you know, that some of this didn't line up where you need it to be, like I said, embroidery is pretty easy to fix any mistakes. You can either pull that last thread out, or you can do another stitch on top of it, and that will kind of help it stay in place. Great, y'all. So once you start working on that border here, you can see kind of what this looks like. You can kind of imagine what it would look like all the way around. So it creates kind of a nice, neat border. So then whenever you put your patch up, it looks, you know, kind of like a one you would see in a store. All right, so thank you guys again for watching these embroidery workshops. It's been really fun to make this for y'all, and I'm really excited to see what you guys create on your own. So if you do make something, definitely post that on Twitter or Instagram and just tag the library, because we'd love to see all the unique things that you guys will create. We also have a giveaway. So we have this gift card and also this really pretty embroidery hoop that was made by Designs by Brandy Lay. So you can enter that in on our Facebook page to enter that giveaway. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to mention is just, you know, we are going to have some more teen events posted on our social media. So make sure to check that out as well, because we'd love to have you guys, you know, join in and see all the fun things that we're going to be doing this fall. Thanks, guys.